You guys know and love her. Dr. B is back on the channel. Before we were talking all about melasma and my favorite, hyperpigmentation. And today we're gonna be talking about acne. That's right, the most suggested thing on my channel that you guys have asked for Dr. B to talk about is acne. Acne is huge, it's acne, acne, acne. She's gonna break all the myths, talk about the truths. We're gonna be talking about acne and breaking it all down from A to Z. Is that right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, first off, we're gonna just break it all down. What causes acne and why do we get it?
Okay, so acne is an inflammatory process, and basically it's influenced by bacteria, inflammation, hormones, and we typically see it right at the onset of puberty, and it can kind of go on.
Which was my case, which is why we ended up getting together as a couple. I had cystic acne. I did not have acne until I was in my 20s and then again in my 30s. And it was a really big thing, especially for someone who never really had it as a teen.
Yeah, that's a really common scenario. In fact, I have a lot of people coming to me and think, I never broke out as a teenager or in high school, and now they're breaking out in their 20s. So we see acne in teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, sometimes
So there's
even
no
50s.
exempt age.
Well, I mean, you can see acne really into your later years, all the way until 40s and 50s, more typically kind of called rosacea, which
Right.
we'll touch upon a little bit. But yeah, those hormones are, when they're kicking, you'll see the acne.
All right, so different kinds of acne. Which one do you want to start with?
So there's such a broad range. There's just, blackheads and little clogged pores, all the way into more inflammatory, kind of what we call that red zit or pimple. And then we can go into cystic acne. So there's a really wide range of different types of acne.
So let's talk about your child, you're 18, you're 20, you're 21, you're 22. Let's talk about that kind of acne. Is it hormonal? Is it just like it just shows up? Like,
I
talk
have
a little
to say,
deeper.
Acne in general, no matter what age, definitely has a hormonal component. And then the other thing that we shouldn't forget is there's a big genetic component, especially when we get into a little bit more severe cases of cystic acne. There's almost
My
always...
dad had cystic acne.
There's almost always that one family member where you could say, yes, my mom had it, or my dad had it, or my siblings have it. So there typically is a genetic component involved.
You start to get that one thing that always comes, that evil little pimple that just is deep and it won't go away. Is one pimple considered like cystic S, or is it like, for me, it kind of started that way and then it was like another one, and by the time I got in, they were deep.
Right.
Cystic
So
for
that's
me
more of a
felt deep.
cystic, inflamed. It's kind of underneath the skin. It never kind of makes its way to the surface. So that's a little bit different than your more comedonal or clogged pore type of acne. And that typically is from inflammation and hormones. So knowing the root cause of different types of acne are going to help us figure out what the best treatment is.
Okay, so let's start with just normal acne. We're not cystic, it's all based a little bit around hormonal acne.
Yeah,
but
so
let's
it's
just
more
talking about your generic
clogged pores,
What can we
blackheads,
do?
all of that. So that you really want to kind of hone in on your daily routine, cleansing, and what products you're using at night, before you go to bed, in the morning, and then what's part of your kind of daily regimen in terms of makeup and sunscreen.
So there's a little bit of a myth, which I'm gonna do rapid fire at the end of this, but I wanna talk about stripping. Drying it out sometimes produces more oil, which produces more acne. True or false?
That's a really good point. Well, here's the thing. Acne medicine in general, topical medications like creams and prescription meds, they tend to be drying. Acne medicine tends to be drying. So what we end up doing sometimes is we over dry the skin, and then two things happen. Either what you said, we kind of reproduce oils to kind of counteract that, or we get so dry that we end up quitting the medication and then we can't continue.
True story. I'm going to interrupt. House of Style, my first taping. I just joined MTV. I flew cross country to Los Angeles from New York, and I decided to sleep with toothpaste on the plane on my pimple. I took off like 9 layers of skin. I actually burned because I just kept reapplying every hour with my toothpaste. So
more is not better, and those little home remedies can sometimes get us into trouble where we're putting toothpaste on or doing something to kind of strip the skin, and then you end up burning the skin.
Princina, Makeup to the Stars, and Davey Newkirk, they were like, I did not know them. That's when I first met them on there. Like, you have a hole in your skin. I'm like, I know. Now it's your job to cover it. Okay.
So that's a typical problem. So you really want to make sure that the products that you're using, you're not overusing them. And a lot of the times I'll tell my patients, use your acne medicine every other night instead of every night. And it's a really small amount so that you're not over drying the skin.
Right. Okay. So cystic acne.
So cystic acne typically needs a little bit more than just topical medications.
So yeah, it does. It needs
a little bit more. So we've got our topical medications, and then we've got our systemic medications, which means something that you're going to be taking by mouth. Our topicals are typically the benzoyl peroxides and the retin-A's and the tretinoins and the salicylics. And then the oral medications are birth control pills, spironolactone, antibiotics, and then the big mama, Accutane.
Right. And I can tell you personally, like, people say, oh, you did Accutane, and people judge me for it. But just for the record, I had done tetracycline, minocycline, dextracycline, spirolactone, doxycycline. I'd done all the cyclines you could probably do in like 2 years, to the point where like nothing was working. It would work for a while and then I would just revert. I mean,
and
she knows this, and we
usually
literally went down. I do not recommend just jumping to Accutane unless your doctor, your dermatologist was like, this is cystic acne. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
This is your protocol.
We like to go through an algorithm. So typically we'll see how you do first with topicals, right. Then we'll add in the oral medications. And it's not until you've failed a few of those things that
literally
those
I failed.
options.
So for the people out there who are judging me that I did it, I failed like for 2 years. Like I literally gave it topical for probably 5 years. And then
right, and for many people that will work.
I know,
and you won't have to progress or graduate to things that are pills or anything like that.
Right.
But I usually give 6-week time frames. So if you use something pretty consistently for 6 weeks and you're not seeing really great results, that's usually typically a time where you should see a turnaround. And if you don't, that would be kind of your next phase.
Okay, so how do you prevent it? Is there anything like?
I mean, a good daily routine of cleansing your face with a good cleanser, and some of the acne cleansers out there are typically going to have a salicylic acid in them or a glycolic acid or some sort of exfoliating thing so that your pores aren't getting clogged. Mm-hmm. That's the first step.
Okay.
So cleaning your face, cleansing your face with something that's going to strip those, the bacteria and the oil is a good start for sure.
Okay.
And then a big one for a lot of people is, what should I eat, or should I be avoiding?
Well, that's
any
what was
foods?
my thing. It's like we were kind of discussing this before. We didn't really talk about it because we don't like to talk before we actually shoot. But like, is it true? Like everyone says, oh, you get acne around your chin, your face. It's, because you eat too much dairy.
Right. So it's a really controversial topic. And actually it's interesting because I actually posted something not too long ago on my social media about how food doesn't really play a big role in acne. And oh boy. I get a lot of responses. Here's the thing. I think that if you're seeing a huge connection with breakouts when you have dairy or sweets or gluten, I by all means listen to what your body is telling you. I don't think you should keep doing things that you see a connection with. But for the most part, most people have already tried cutting out gluten, cutting out sugar, cutting out dairy, and they're still in my office struggling with the acne. So it's mainly a genetic thing at that point where they're struggling. They've already tried to eliminate all these different foods and they're still struggling. So sometimes it's not always about what you're eating. It's more just,
for me, it's genetic.
The genetics
even though I
and
am
the
dairy
hormones.
free, and I do think me eating less cheese and milk and all of that has helped my acne. Like more of just like I know.
Sure, it helps, but will it clear a face full of cystic acne?
Absolutely
Probably not.
And then for me, which is what I want to lead into, acne, it's what I used to dread, especially being a model, and now everything is photoshopped and it's much easier. But at the time, for me, like it would take me out for 3-4 weeks. I had one situation, which I talked about in my book, like literally I could see this volcano from like my peripheral eye thing. It was so bad. I did not work for 2 weeks, and I used to come to her and my doctors when I was living in Europe. I'm like, can you just give me, I know it's not good for you. Can you just give me a little shot, a
steroid injection,
a little steroid, and it would take it down.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Imagine this is your experience, but people, yes, you can Photoshop and yes, you can have filters, but what about your everyday life? You're going to school, you're going to work, you're going out on dates. Your everyday life is affected by having bad
skin. And also that steroid shot that I begged her to do or someone to do also did too much. Then they had to fill it back up because it divoted my skin. So it's definitely...
it's kind of one of those things.
It's like a 360.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on your road. You have acne. You're on either your topicals or your more of your
oral medications.
So let's talk about, for me, like you would always say to me, don't pick a pimple. Well, you picked it. Now what do I do?
Well, here's the thing. What happens with picking or manipulating your pimples is that you really increase your risk of getting all that hyperpigmentation. So then we're back into the spots. And that's a real big problem with acne, is it's not only the acne itself, but it's all the evidence it leaves behind. Yes. And that's also a big motivator in how we choose to treat and how aggressive we choose to treat, because we don't want anyone to be left with scars. And to be clear, scarring is pits and divots and textural issues. Right. And hyperpigmentation is...
But I get hyperpigmentation from, so my cousin, she'll go to this great facialist, right? I won't name the facialist, and they will dig and pick, and she's like, but they got everything out. Her face is completely covered in red, and I'm like, it's angry. I'm like, that's gonna take you a month to get rid of.
Well,
so
that speaks to the picking. When you pick, you increase your risk of leaving little pigment.
But why do facialists say, oh, I've got to get out your blackheads. I've got to clean it all out?
Well, because you do. When you're going to a facial, you should expect a little bit of downtime. You're gonna look a little bit beat up afterwards, and there are certain products you can use to reverse or even prevent.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, there are products that you can use that help to kind of lighten that hyperpigmentation. Ingredients like azelaic acid, ingredients like hydroquinone. Mm-hmm. Those are things, even glycolic acid and salicylic acid have a little bit of kind of power in terms of lifting hyperpigmentation. So I think that's really important. As you're treating the acne, you need to also address the hyperpigmentation that comes along with it.
So let's talk about lasers. Lasers have become really trendy also in the acne scarring world. Talk a little bit about that.
So when we talk about acne scarring as it pertains to pits and divots, there are, my favorite laser is radiofrequency microneedling. So you are kind of going into the skin with the microneedling and your little burst of energy that stimulates that collagen.
I did it last year. It was a machine called Vivace, and I have to say, I came to you and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I had no downtime. My pores felt tight. Everything just felt, because it's going deeper into the skin.
It's going deeper.
But microneedling does help as well.
Microneedling, even without radiofrequency, does help quite a bit. So depending on your level of scarring, that's when I would kind of either triage you to just regular microneedling or microneedling with radiofrequency.
Right. Okay, I woke up today with a big pimple. What's the first thing I should do?
Okay, so spot treating just random pimples, you can use a benzoyl peroxide or a salicylic acid, something that's kind of just calms the skin down, but you don't want to overdo it because you don't want to get a big burn mark either. So you got to be careful with that.
All right, so let's do rapid fire and then we're going to get to our products. Rapid fire, true or false? Dairy can cause breakouts.
So like we said earlier, food doesn't play a huge role, but if you're seeing a connection, especially you want to stick to dairy that's hormone free. Right. That's a big one.
If you're seeing something, go for it.
Right.
Not true or false. Stress causes acne.
Definitely. Stress causes everything.
It does. Acne is genetic.
Absolutely. Acne definitely has a genetic component.
Chocolate causes acne.
You know, most studies have disproven chocolate causing acne as a direct cause.
Drying out a pimple is the best way to get rid of it.
Not necessarily, because you end up causing some surface damage. So, you have to be careful with that.
I always wait till it gets like white, and then I'm like trying to like tissue it lightly before I'd be like...
You can use 2 Q-tips and just gently press if it's ready.
I know.
Or go to your dermatologist or to your esthetician and get a facial.
I would be at your office for the last 10 years. Ice.
I don't
yes
mind.
Or no? Before pimple.
Ice is a great anti-inflammatory, right? So it helps. It helps.
Toothpaste will get rid of a pimple.
That's a myth. You already told us about your
It's a
experience.
myth. It does dry out just a little touch, not like 75 gallons of it. You can't wear makeup if you have a breakout.
I completely disagree. I'm
agree.
all for using makeup. Just make sure your makeup is oil-free, non-comedogenic, so that you're not causing more acne by covering it up.
All right. Prebiotics, probiotics. What do we think?
Well, I think, if you are on an antibiotic for your acne, I think it's a great idea to be on a probiotic. I don't think that should, make your acne any worse.
Right. All right, so now we're gonna kind of go a few little specifics. These are some of my new things that I found. We're gonna talk products. Again, there are so many out there that, you can't imagine. But I will say, I used to use this company called Mario Badescu. It was a little spa, and it was like a pink little thing. Now
The drying
I'm on
lotion.
the drying lotion.
Yeah.
This is from M61. It's called Power Spot. It's a blemish lotion, overnight spot. It's what you said, salicylic acid, tea tree, witch hazel, cucumber, and aloe. And I have to say, this is my little spot treatment. I really
Everyone
love
has
it.
their favorites.
Okay, Peace Out Acne. These are, I talked about these earlier, acne healing dots. I know, call me crazy.
These have become really popular.
These have become really popular.
Little
Again,
sticker for your
they're
spot.
a little sticker for your spot. And I guess what they probably have.
They do have, they have salicylic acid. That's a huge
aloe,
ingredient.
vitamin A.
Yeah.
And
That's a huge ingredient in acne products.
Hydrocollopolymer.
So salicylic acid is an anti-inflammatory, so
Right.
it will kind of bring inflammation down.
And then these little dots. And I sometimes wear them when I'm here at the house.
Yeah.
I go to bed. I have to say, maybe it's just the packaging, but I feel like it does work. It keeps me from touching it, keeps it clean. They also have it for Peace Out for dark spots. Once you have the spot and you've picked it, and then you can use the dark spots.
Okay.
I know, it sounds crazy. Okay, so SoMe. I want to talk about SoMe. So I just started working with a company. It's a PRP company. You have to go to a dermatologist. They draw your blood, they spin it, they get your
Platelet-rich plasma.
and 22 botanicals. It's hyaluronic, and this is what I use for 3 months. I wash my face. I put first my SoMe serum on, and it's great for hydration. It's great for improves dryness, appearance of the dark circles, and then I can also spot treat on top of it. But this is something that I've actually been using for the past 3 months, and I have to say, I do believe they all got me into it. These derms,
The
the
PRP,
PRP,
yeah.
it works. It really, really works.
It's your own cells fighting, so.
It's your own cells
Yeah.
fighting. I like it because it's customized to me and it's no one else's. Another is also people are talking about. My husband uses this product. It calls Acne Treatment Face Oil. And this is really good for back acne, also for regular acne. But this is an oil that really balances your skin to try to I can't even explain it, but I'm not explaining it right, but it works. It's Sunday Riley Acne Treatment Face Oil. That's what I got for you.
Some of my favorite products, we'll start with a drugstore brand.
I'm telling you, I love this. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
Neutrogena Oil-Free Acne Wash is a really great cleanser, super easy. It's a 2% salicylic acid, so that's something you can pick up
Can
from
you do
anywhere.
that? Do you do that morning and night if you have
I
acne? or
would
just
start off
morning?
just doing it at night. That's going to be your oiliest and dirtiest time, right? Because you're washing off your day. And then if you can move up to 2 times a day, that's fine. But even 1 time a day is good enough, and it won't be too drying.
Have you, just really quickly, have you heard about the whole enzyme cleansers?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit? What is that?
So SkinCeuticals makes a great enzyme cleanser, and kind of the same idea. Enzymes, acids, they all kind of break down that keratin and the clogged pores so that you're evacuating your pores and you're not getting that
Which is
buildup.
why it's a good time to put something like this to build
to
it back.
rehydrate.
To build it
exactly.
back. Okay, I got it.
Another favorite brand of mine, which kind of speaks to
Love me some Glytone.
Yes, the Glytone acne spot treatment. So kind of similar to, it's got a little
It's a new product.
color to it. It's got a little color to it, so you could typically wear it maybe during the day under your makeup.
I like that.
And it's fighting the acne while covering it up. So I like
need
that
that.
little trick.
I like that.
Right?
Glytone.
And then as far as discoloration, right?
Okay.
Because we're going to get a lot of discoloration from the old acne and from stuff that we picked. So this is a really great new product on the market. It's called Cispra, and it's for hyperpigmentation, and it does not have hydroquinone. So our little bit of a controversial
people,
ingredient.
are really controversial
So
with
this
the
is
hydroquinone.
completely hydroquinone free. It's a mask that you put on for 15 minutes, and it really helps with hyperpigmentation.
1 time a week, 2 times a week?
Every night for the
night.
first 6 weeks. And then once your hyperpigmentation is gone, you can either discontinue it or just use it a couple times a week.
like it.
Yeah, so that's a really good one. And then some retinol or tretinoin. So there's a few different ways you can get Retin-A or tretinoin or tretinoil
And
products.
this is over the counter.
This one's over the counter. Some other ones are by prescription, so you'd have to see your dermatologist to get a prescription.
And the retinol does what?
The
It
retinol,
decreases
again,
the hyperpigmentation.
It
from
helps with hyperpigmentation, but it also helps with acne because
Right.
it's going to prevent acne.
Okay.
And then last but not least, one of my favorites is this Glytone Acne Back Spray.
Woo!
So this actually
Super.
has a special little nozzle where it sprays upside down. So you can kind of spray it on your back and leave it on.
By the way, like
You
I work
help
out,
him, probably.
I work out so much. I shouldn't throw super under the table, but I work out so much that I do. Like sometimes I'm like, I sweat, the pores gets clogged. I'm like,
Yeah, this is a great thing to put in your gym bag. You can kind of just put it on before you shower. So that's a really nice one too. And then also another discoloration trick of mine is SkinCeuticals Discoloration Defense. That's another one that's got tranexamic acid in it. That's great for discoloration. So there's so many things. I think the best thing to do is really consult with your dermatologist. That's going to be your acne specialist.
And I agree. Like honestly, like spend the money. If you have insurance, if a friend of a friend can get you in to do a favor, just get to a dermatologist and get
Just to
on
get
a
on the right
protocol
track.
And get on the right
Exactly.
track. And I think my biggest advice is don't wait. You know, like
Don't
if
wait.
something bothers you, like I know so many people have let it go, and you really do. You know,
It
sometimes
affects
get
your
true scarring.
self-esteem.
Exactly.
It affects your confidence. And the other thing is acne is so preventable. It's so easy to get rid of that.
It doesn't seem like it. I mean, I was
I know
at some
it
of
doesn't.
my lowest points when I had my cystic acne, both in my 20s and my 30s, and I can tell you, it really, it
feels
brought
like
me
it's-
down. It brought me down. I don't
I
know why.
agree.
It's like hair color. It's like,
No,
you
it
know, you wake up one day
absolutely-
and you're like, why am I grays? And like I need it. And it's like almost like that little angry little thing that just wakes up.
But
and
it's
I hate
something that it's totally treatable. And the most important thing is get to it before you start scarring so that we can prevent scarring, because that's a little bit tougher to treat.
I mean, I told you guys, she is my wealth of knowledge. She is
Aw,
my
thanks.
Dr. B. We're going to have her back on this entire year asking questions. So let us know through, social media, comments below. We love you and we
Thank
love your
you.
advice.
Thank
and
you for
again,
having
thank
me.
you, because 2018 was the year of the skin. 2019 was the body, and 2020, it's all about the beauty, inner and outer. I love you.
I love it.
Bye, guys.